This episode of Inside High School Sports is brought to you by Side Nursing. Our dedicated nursing staff will provide the personalized attention you deserve. That's Side Nursing. Following a stellar high school career, Warsaw High School alumnus Matt Auble has now headed to Clemson University, where he plans to continue his track and field career. He's one of the top throwers in New York State. Now he looks to become one of the top throwers in the nation.
You know, not only did you win 2 state titles, Division II titles, you went on to win the Federation titles as well. You know, just what, could you describe a better ending to your high school career than that? And, you know, what did it mean?
I don't know. Of course, with the throws, it's a game of numbers. Would have liked to throw farther, but it's went out, threw hard, and got it done. You know, it was it's crazy looking back because it feels like forever ago now, even though it was less than a month ago.
You know, thinking back to your high school career, you know, I mean, I know you started at a young age throwing. You know, in your wildest dreams, did you ever think that, you know, you would do that? Not only be the best in, you know, small school Division II of New York State, but be the best in New York State overall?
There you go. All right.
I mean, you know, when I was younger, I would like to think that I would, but no, I don't think I could ever imagine kind of where it's taken me, which is awesome. It's been an awesome journey.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, you know, you got to Clemson this week, right?
So I got to Clemson just the end of June.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is week 3 for me here.
All right.
And yeah, it's been crazy fast.
You know what? You know, obviously you'd been there before. Does anything kind of surprise you about being there, being there? Obviously, you're not in school yet, but you know, what's kind of been some of the surprises you've seen in the first couple of weeks?
Well, okay, so I took my visit here at the end of October, and when I hopped on the plane coming out of Buffalo, it was like 30 degrees, and when I got here, it was 75. So like that was awesome. But now that I'm here, it's kind of a shock because it's like 90 every single day. And it's hot. So that has been something to get used to. But I started classes, just a couple summer classes to get out of the way and kind of adjust into college life and what school will look like now. But yeah.
You know, that's awesome. You know, what have you done in terms of, you know, throwing? I mean, I'm guessing you started doing some training and doing some different stuff.
Oh yeah. So I've got right in the weight room as soon as I got cleared here, and this is actually my first full training week. So I'm lifting 4 days a week, and outside of that, I do a couple 2 to 3 throws practices. It's all optional stuff right now because we're out of season. But about 2 to 3 times a week I'm throwing, and little shot, little disc, little bit of hammer, and yeah.
There you go. You know, what are some of the differences you've seen so far just between, you know, throwing in high school and, you know, starting to practice and train a little bit here at a Division I level?
Okay, I think maybe initially just the amount of people on board here, the amount of coaches, coordinators, and just support people that we have here. This is the first thing that I noticed, but at practice they'll be bringing out like a Gatorade ice. I'll bring out a Gatorade bucket of ice and bucket of water, bucket of Gatorade, so we can drink out of it just right at practice, which is awesome. So things like that, you know.
Yeah.
And like the Tiger Fuel Station in our weight room, when we can like just grab a protein shake, grab like a whole breakfast right at our morning lift, and that's awesome.
Yeah. You know, it kind of leads into one of my questions. Like, you know, was it a little bit of a culture shock, you know, coming from Warsaw, being kind of the quote unquote big fish in the small pond, and now you're, you know, kind of the little fish in the big pond? You know, was it kind of a shock, or did you get used to it pretty quick?
Little bit. I think first week I was a little bit timid, but as these past 2 weeks have been, I've definitely gotten a lot more comfortable. I've been meeting a lot of new people, and I'm starting to build some connections here, and it's been so much fun. I'm starting to feel much more comfortable and get to know my way around and whatnot.
Absolutely. Back when you talked with Alex in the winter, you mentioned your grandfather and your family and history of athletes, and you mentioned you were inspired by them, including your sister who also went on to participate, compete at Division I. Was there pressure though? You didn't mention pressure. You mentioned inspiration, but was there pressure growing up, following, all these people in your family that had done so well?
Yeah, for sure there was pressure. I look at my older brother, not biologically related, but my older brother who played basketball in college, and then my sister who ran track in college. And then so it was very like, I got to do sports in college or else I'm going to be the left out kid. So yeah. I think definitely there was a lot of pressure, but with that pressure came a lot of resources. So I had a lot of people to look up to and what to do to get here and whatnot.
Yeah, you mentioned basketball, and I know you guys touched on, stopping playing basketball, but, I'm sure at some point before that you realized that, you had a special talent, throwing things around, throwing stuff, as your shirt says,
Yeah, I thought so.
When did you start to realize, really seriously, that you had a real special talent, and you might have to stop doing some other things to really focus on track?
I think I first thought that okay, I'm pretty good at throwing when I was a sophomore, when I won my first sectional title in discus. But I really never thought that I would have to, make some sacrifices to focus on track until the summer after my junior year. And that was kind of like leading into my senior year. I was like, all right, I might have to try indoor and kind of commit to doing this,
Yeah. Talk about those. To get to where you are, you have to make sacrifices, and talk about the decision and kind of how tough it is to make, not just with basketball, but with pretty much anything. You need to make some sacrifices to become a Division I athlete.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The first things that come to mind when I think about sacrifices that has taken me through junior, senior year of high school. I was in bed about 9:30 every night. I didn't really stay up too late on the weekends. I was constantly eating just to maintain my weight, lifting all the time. I was doing stuff on the weekends that related to sports. And then I would have a day off where I would do absolutely nothing but sleep and chill out to recover.
Yeah, and again, you lead right in. You mentioned the mindset. You grew up, you mentioned with Alex that your grandfather taught you the sport, but on the outside looking in, you would think it's pretty easy. You get out there, you throw some things around, and what are some of how tough is the mentality to do that, and what are some of the intricacies that maybe somebody doesn't know that really goes into doing this and doing it well?
I really like that question. Yeah, at a certain point, it is just going out there and throwing, and that's pretty much what it is. But when you try to perfect the craft, you're constantly trying new things. Do I want to go faster? Do I want to go slower in this part? Do I want to go slow at the front and finish really fast? But outside of speed, different technical models you might be looking for, and in your form. And yeah, I guess there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah.
Mentally, track's a tough sport. You know what I mean? You're on a team, but you're out there by yourself. And, what does it take, also having played, team sports like basketball, what's the mentality that really goes into being a thrower or any sort of track athlete for that matter?
Well, I think you got to have a lot of confidence in yourself. There's only one person in the ring at a time, and there's a lot of people watching you while you're in there. Only one person in your lane on the track at a time, only one person jumping at a time. So everybody's watching you when you're up. So you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself. Well, in practice, I might be thinking about a lot of things and sometimes too much. But in a meet, I'll try to pick maybe 1 or 2 cues to remember. And if I get into a spot where I'm rolling, I'll just not think about anything and I'll just throw. I'll let the technique take over and just pretty much chuck it as hard as I can. Just in a couple weeks here, and we haven't even really gotten into our throwing yet. I think I'm just at the tip of the iceberg of the knowledge about the sport. And I think that one of my strengths would be to know that I don't know it all, and especially know that I don't know it all yet, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited to learn what there is to know about throwing and track and field in general at this next level.
One last one, I mentioned a couple of the guys, and, I've recently talked with Kyle Rollins, who went to Geneseo and, national champion at Fisher. I talked to Brandon Burke, who went to Byron Burgeon, and now he's down at Virginia Tech. You'll probably see him at the high jump some point this year. I'm sure you've heard those names. Like, what do you think about this contingent of recent track athletes coming out of these small towns that where we're from, that going to these big time programs and doing all this stuff? How cool is that?
I think it's awesome. I think Section 5 sports has got something going on, and I think that's really cool to be a part of, and to maybe even inspire younger athletes to do the same,
This episode of Inside High School Sports is brought to you by Side Nursing. Our dedicated nursing staff will provide the personalized attention you deserve. That's Side Nursing.